Hey y'all, insight number three fingers for this week. So we're in Acts 18 for this one, and again, as I said at the beginning, I'm doing this week a little different. I'm just pulling out some facts from each of the chapters and then giving like a spiritual insight to it, because there's a lot to cover, and there's some really interesting things here on missionary work and conversion and missionary work, how it works best, what you're going to come up against, what you might expect, and the same is true for today. It just looks a little different, but same is true. So, Acts 18 tells us how to be a great teacher. We see this in Apollos. This is really cool. And then Paul comes in and refines it even better. So there's lots of traveling and preaching that happens in the beginning of this chapter. Persecution from the Jews, yet you see the Lord send or have in place already good people to help Paul. And you see that through the first 23 verses. There's just a lot of ugliness, and then a lot of people that are there to help them over and over again. You'll see that about 4 or 5 times over. There's a lot of names get mentioned, and a lot of places that he stops because there's good people there that are willing to help him. So you see that in today's world as well. There's lots of traveling when you're a missionary, there's lots of preaching, but there's lots of persecution as well, and then there's always people sent to help you and to guide you. So there's already people, good people there to help Paul. So do you see God do this for you? Because I do all the time. I see good people around, and I'm like, I just had a phone conversation with the doctor that I needed something from, and he was totally lovely. I needed someone who was last minute that could talk to me on the phone and get the script done. So I'm really grateful that he could call me today, which is a Friday. Usually, I looked at the doctors that I needed, and they're all 2 weeks to get an appointment, and I'm like, I need this medication, order it today. So, really grateful. Again, the Lord will put these people in your life when you need them. The people loved Paul and often pleaded with him to stay longer. You'll read that too in Acts 18. And I just thought, how can you be a person that others want around them? How can you be that person that people say to you, can you stay longer? Please stay with us longer. Or we miss you. We want you to come back. Stay a bit longer and teach us. Because I said that to Jesus. It's a Christ-like quality. So how can we do that? What's some things we can do there? Well, we can know their names. We can love them for who they are. We can teach them things perhaps, but mostly it's about loving them for who they are and showing them that there is worth, we just talked about being a child of God and how much that is worth, showing them that they are that as well. So that's a really neat sort of way to do that. There's some really wonderful ways that you can learn in teaching people how to be a great teacher. And I know from personal experience in teaching primary and youth that if you can know their name and remember some things about them, especially their birthday and their favorite color and what TV show they like, it means so much to them that you know that little bit about them, because they feel seen and they feel heard. And we all need to feel that. So if you're going to be that to other people, of course they're going to want you around longer because you're interested in them. And they want to be around you because of the way you are as well, and the way you behave and the way you treat them. They're going to want you to be their friend. And it's been a great blessing for me in moving, because I've met people that didn't know me, and if they've come up to me and said, I want to be your friend, are you free on Wednesday? Let's go and have morning tea. And to be invited out like that, because I grew up with I had some good friends, don't get me wrong, but a lot of kids through high school didn't want to be my friend. So to have that be happening now, I'm just okay, because I'm a happier person. I talk the truth, but I also do it in a way that uplifts and strengthens others. So I do have a lot of friends, and I'm incredibly grateful for them. It's a huge blessing. So hi everybody from my friends. But yeah, then we also read about Apollos. Now Apollos was also a missionary, and he was a Jew with a Greek name. So interesting background for him, I suppose. He was an Alexandrian, eloquent man, it says in verse 24, and mighty in the scriptures. Now he comes to a place called Ephesus and runs into Paul. So this man was instructed, this is verse 25, this man was instructed in the way of the Lord, and being fervent of the Spirit, he spake and taught diligently the things of the Lord, knowing only the baptism of John. So he had obviously known about John the Baptist and how the baptism was part of the gospel, but that's all he knew. He began speaking boldly in the synagogue, and when Aquila and Priscilla had heard, they took unto him and expounded unto him the way of God more perfectly, because they had been taught by Paul. And when he was disposed of, his brethren wrote exhorting the disciples to receive him, and then he goes and does that. And then we go on in chapter 19, and he runs into Paul there. So he was mighty in the scriptures, and he was trying to teach people, and yet he didn't know about anything more than what John the Baptist had taught. He probably had heard of Christ, but he hadn't been close to him, and he was able to learn more of that. But that is a mighty example of the commitment to want to learn and to help others and to be that great teacher, because people listen to him. So Apollos, also a mighty missionary, speaking boldly, well instructed in the way of the Lord, and being full of the Spirit, greatly enhances his teaching ability. So what can we learn from him to increase our teaching ability? Know your scriptures that you're teaching. If you're going to teach from the scriptures, read it, learn it. Do you have to be perfect at it? No. Should you know the material you're teaching? Yeah. Because there's no fancy answer key at the back of the book, like there is in math class for some of the math teachers out there, although I hope none of them do that. Know who you're preaching to and be willing to continue to learn. So when someone comes to you and says, I really enjoyed your lesson, did you know that blah, 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 blah? Of course, go and check the source, because sometimes it's not right and sometimes it's hearsay. But it's also interesting to learn from those that have also studied and what they found. That's just why learning should be a group thing. So when you're teaching a class, especially Sunday school, it is facilitating a group discussion. You're not there to just fill their heads full of facts. You're there to have a discussion about the topic and to help those people in that classroom go away feeling uplifted, to help them feel that they have really gained something from the scriptures that you're teaching from. And there's a gift in doing that, but it's something that you can learn as well. So while some people are born with that gift and have that natural ability, it is also a gift you can learn, and you can learn it well and do it really, really well. I wouldn't say that I was born with it. I've learned it, and I'm still learning it, and I'm happy to go to teacher trainings where they talk about, here's a better way to present this idea, and here's some good ways to get this, because it helps enhance my teaching. And while I might not be a great teacher, I want to be a good teacher at least. Bare minimum, I want to be a good teacher that people want to stay in a classroom with and listen to. I would like them to plead with me to tell them more, I know I talk too much as it is, but people seem to want to listen sometimes, actually often. It's just strange. I never thought people would want to listen to me like that, but apparently all my studying is now paying off and people want to know. So I will tell them what I do know, and I will happily admit what I don't know and how we could possibly find that solution or find that answer to that question that they may have or that concern that comes up. And I'm not going to stand here even now and say, oh, I know all this and I've studied it inside and out. I have like this much compared to most people. But I'm brave enough to come here and talk about it anyway. So there you go. So what can we learn from this to increase our teaching ability? There's some really good points in here, especially from Apollos and how he taught, that can increase our teaching ability. So have a look at that. It might really help you with your teaching, or you might be able to really talk to your children or your family members about how they teach and get some tips from each other that you've maybe never discussed before, because maybe you all teach different classes, and actually if you talk together you might get some really great ideas, like how to better teach youth. You might get some better ideas from your youth. What don't you like? Do you know what you like in a teacher, youth? No. What don't you like? Oh, I don't like it when they come in and they don't know our names. Well, that's a big one I hear a lot. Or they get our names wrong, or they only turn up once a month when they're supposed to be there every week, kind of thing. So, there's some things there. The youth might not know what they do want, but they know what they don't like. And you can really get some ideas off that and make your teaching better. So there you go. That's Acts 18. Hang on, we're going to go over to Acts 19 and talk about what happens there. I'll see you there.